Hello, welcome to the I Can Endure YouTube channel. My name is Stephen Green. I've just returned from Oman where I competed in the Oman Desert Marathon. This is a 165 kilometre self-supported stage race. The first day is 42 kilometres, the second day is 32 kilometres, third day 40 kilometres, fourth day a night stage 30 kilometres, and the last day coming back into Oman, into Muscat, is 21 kilometres. Total 165 kilometres, self-supported race in heavy sand. So I wanted to make this video just to talk about the things I got right, the things I got wrong, and generally about the race, some information. The first thing I will say is it's very well organised. The organisation of the race is as good as I've known anything. Meet at the airport, shuttle bus to a resort, race briefing, mandatory kit checks. There's physios at the race, there's doctors at the race, there's people taking care of your feet at the race. So staff-wise, it's heavily staffed. And there's people to help with everything. The mandatory kit and the calories that you have to carry and things like this is all checked, as well as some pre-race requisites such as an ECG, doctor's certificate and things like that. This is a tough race, not to be taken lightly. My training, I felt, working with my coach, went quite well. I had an injury. I had an Achilles problem, which was kind of holding me back from doing big volume in the days leading up to it. But that wasn't too bad. I would say something that is really important is specificity, if I've said that correctly. Find heavy, soft sand and run in it. Try and climb in heavy sand dunes, carrying a heavy pack. My pack, which we'll get into in a minute, was circa 8 kilos with circa, again, 1 litre, 1.5 litres of water. I took the exact amount of calories. You have to take a minimum 2,000 calories per day, or I think it was 12,000 calories overall. So 2,500 per day, something like that. So it's super important, I found, to take things that you like to eat, because in the heat of the desert, it was around 30 degrees, 35 degrees. You want to taste nice food. That was a little mistake I made. I took some vegan, I'm not vegan, but I took like a vegan chili, dehydrated. It was on offer. It was terrible. Awful food. I won't name the brand, but it was disgusting. So think about what meals you're used to eating. Have you had it before? I know dehydrated meals are expensive, but I wish I would have tasted before and then taken a variety. Especially for in the evenings, there is quite a lot of downtime in the night. If you get in at, say, around sort of 2 or 3 p.m., by the time you've rested and you're ready to eat, you want to really have something that's tasty. So the race is well organised, self-supported. You have to carry what you're going to eat and consume for those 5 days. I am sponsored by Tailwind, so when I mention Tailwind in this, I use Tailwind the sachets. There's 200 calories in each one of these, and I would carry 2 for the running of the day. But you can use whatever you're used to using, whichever electrolytes, Precision Fuel and Hydration, 226, whichever, it's fine. But make sure you prioritize your sodium and potassium and electrolyte, and make sure that you have this at hand. The first day, the adrenaline's going, you set off in quite a big group because there's a lot of runners doing the marathon, the half marathon, the 10K, the 5K. So you tend to, it's quite busy at the start line. And obviously in these kind of things, when you get running, a couple of hours can easily pass you by with the adrenaline and the excitement of the race before you start to think, shit, I've not been taking my carbohydrates properly, or I've not been drinking enough, and so on and so on. Which is exactly what I did. Before I knew it, I was feeling quite nauseous. It was hot. I had not slept well because I'd travelled halfway across the world, jet lagged, and so on and so on. So I kind of neglected my fueling on the first day. And by the time I got to 30K, I thought, I'm in 10K. I'm in an hour and a half. Don't stress, just get in. That again was a bit of a mistake. I should have been fueling a lot better. I had a couple of energy bars and things like that. But try and get on top of your fueling from minute one. Subsequently, when I got in on the first day, I didn't fuel as well as I should have because I didn't like the meal I'd brought. I didn't feel like it, felt nauseous. But I got some calories in, but it wasn't enough. So the second day, the 30K, you kind of think, it's going to be easy. I did 40 yesterday. Today's 30. That was a mistake. That day was tougher than the first day in terms of the sand dunes and the elevation. And it was a long road from the first sort of 6 or 7K in the dunes. You drop down into kind of like these paths through the desert where the vehicles are moving. So it looks like it's kind of runnable sand, but it's still soft, heavy sand. You can get a sort of pace going, but before you know it, you just stopped into heavy sand and your momentum goes. Could be a slight incline. So the poles are out and you start hiking. It's hot. So it lulls you into a false sense. So the second day for me, super tough. Again, getting into the nighttime, I managed to fuel a bit better and I ate my food. Fluid wise, those first couple of days, I was drinking 2 litres between the stations. So in this race, the checkpoints are around 10 kilometres and you get unlimited water however much you want. I'll show you on my pack in a minute how I work the water. But I was sort of basically with my tailwind, with my, say, for example, my 2 tailwind in these pockets and then water in here. So if we look on the pack, I use the Ultimate Direction 30. Okay, Ultimate Direction 30. This pack was perfect. I would just stuff my sleeping bag. Is just Marmot. I don't know what it is. Marmot, kind of down. It looks quite big here, but it did pack down quite small into the bottom of my pack. And then it would kind of fill out the pack and keep everything secure. So I would stuff that in the bottom. So that was the pack. When I had it on, for example, I would have a soft flask in the top, and then I would have a water bottle in here. So my tailwind would be in here, and I would have water here. I don't like the hard flasks. You see all these desert marathons, Marathon des Sables, for example. People had these hard flasks in the tops with a solid straw. I tried it, and it just digs. The hard flasks, you would just dig into my chest here. So I went for soft flasks, and then I could just pull it out, finish it, stuff it in here, stuff it in the bottom, put water in the top. And for me, it was way more dynamic. And you can carry one spare, it weighs nothing. So that's literally how I would do it. Then in these pockets here, don't need that. In these pockets here, on this pack, you have these pockets. I would put gels and energy bars on each side of these, and then in the zips, you have a zip at the bottom. In this zip pocket, paracetamol, salt tablets in these. So it's a really good pack. You have the side pockets here. You can take food in these, and then you have the pocket, this pocket just to stuff in, and then the main pocket, and everything would just get stuffed in. When you get in at night, I just emptied the pack completely almost. I laid everything out, there's time enough, and then I would just repack it again. Either before I went to bed or in the morning. If you're kind of waking up at 5 a.m. to start the race at 7:30, so you have lots of time to be packing the bag and repacking and things like that. So that's the pack. I saw a lot of people with like Raid Light packs. I'm sure they're fine. For me, they just looked a bit flimsy. They looked a bit bouncy on the back. This is very solid. It has a solid, very firm foam back, and it sticks tight to you. The only problem with this pack I had was if I pulled this, if I had this part too tight here, like this, if I was too tight here, these parts would rub into my collarbone. So the first day was like this. By the second and third, I was like this, and had this fully open and was here to keep these off my collarbones. But you're running a long time in the desert, that's going to happen. But this pack for me worked perfectly. One of the elastics broke, but I just did a MacGyver, and yeah, that worked fine. So that was the pack. Let's start at the top. The head, standard desert cap. Got it off Temu, $2. Doesn't matter. Works perfectly. I had the neck covering at the back just to take the sun off, but this detached, or I would just stuff it in. Whatever you want. Some people wore regular caps. Whatever you want. So that was the cap. Glasses, very important. Oakley Prism. Yeah, they have these little side things to stop it coming in at the side. I like to be able to do that with them, so I'm not bothered about them falling apart, falling off me. So again, doesn't matter, whatever glasses you want. I was kind of thinking Temu, a pair for $1, and who cares if you lose them. So glasses don't make any difference, but they did well. The watch, Garmin Enduro 2. Still have 50% battery after 5 days. Garmin just does what it says on the tin. Everyone's got a charger if you want one, no problem. Shoes. Raid Light Ultra 4. Bought directly from Raid Light with the gaiter integrated already on with Velcro. Essential to have the gaiter. Even with the gaiters, I had some sand in the toes. I think these are about €120. The Velcros you can see here started to fail a little bit. The back of the heel is wearing in, but I had not very bad blisters, no problems. They're an okay shoe. They're a bit like a one race shoe. You're going to get 1 week out of them. But I'd happily buy Raid Light shoes again. They're comfortable. I'm sure I can fix this bit of Velcro. But yeah, it does what it says on the tin. I got them one size bigger than I normally am. So just for a bit of swelling. So that worked out. Worked out well. Pair of slippers. I didn't carry these. I took these, but I decided to take the freebie pair I got in the hotel. That was a mistake because they just filled up with sand, so I had to empty the sand out of those. But you have to take something for the night because the scorpions, spiders, snakes, little nasty things, and it's important you carry a pair of shoes for around the campsite. What next? Headlamp, Petzl Ico Core with AAA batteries. I carried a couple of spare AAAs. This is super light. It goes around your neck if you need it to, on the head. Need it around camp. If you go for a piss in the night, you need to make sure you're not standing on scorpions. And for the night stage on day 4, this worked perfectly. It's very light. Don't need to mess about recharging it. Just change the batteries out. So yeah, that was the headlamp. I always take a little massage ball just to stand, use it on my feet, just to take the stress out of the soles of my feet. And also I had it in my sleeping bag, and I would just lie. If I had a hot spot somewhere, I would just sit with this thing. It weighs nothing, 1 gram. There are physios in the race. They were amazing. You just have to kind of get in a queue a bit, queue up with others and just kind of hang about, and they'll call you in, treat your feet, full body massages, the works. So don't have to worry too much about that kind of thing. So that was good. In the night time, it's cold. So I took a small fleece type jacket from Nerona. Super light, super thin, goes down to nothing. Use it as a pillow. Wear it in the night. That was fine. Sleeping mat. Some people have blow up sleeping pads. I just use this Thermarest Z Lite, and I cut off 4 of these panels, so it was literally on 2/3 of my body. I didn't want to mess about blowing something up, it might pop. This was perfect, went on the back of my pack. No messing, does what it says on the tin, don't have to mess about with a blow up. So that was that. Then in the morning, cheap oatmeal. I'm not a big eater in the mornings. This is 300 calories, hot water. That's very light. How many grams? 65 grams. Oatmeal, coconut. Yeah. So little oatmeal packs in the morning. Energy gels. I'm not sure about energy gels. For me, they're a bit of an emergency use type of thing. I prefer the hard-boiled carb sweets, the sort of chewables. They work a bit better for me. I do carry gels. I did take gels. But for me, gels eventually catch up and you end up with stomach explosion at some point or another, and that's just gonna come at some stage. So I carry the gels for emergencies. If I'm feeling really bad and just got nothing, okay, take a few gels. So they were the gels, whatever your brand, it doesn't matter. Salt tablets. There is salt in Tailwind. I don't know exactly. There we go. So 1.5 grams of salt per one. So whichever fuel you're adding into your water, check with the salt in that, and then carry some salt tablets for emergency type situations, or get to know how your body is excreting salt. Strange thing with me was when I could taste my sweat, it didn't have any salt in it. So I don't know if that's good or bad, if I needed salt, if I didn't need salt. I kind of went on nausea. I felt nauseous, I took salt. If I went worse, I backed off and I drank more water. There's a couple of times in the race when I wasn't sure what was going on, and I was trying to problem solve with salt and water intake, Tailwind, and trying to balance everything right. I don't have a lot of experience in this environment, so it was a big learning curve. But I did take salt tablets. I would take one in the morning and one at the night. I must have been losing salt, but how much it affected me, I'm not 100% sure. It was on feel. So, okay, I used these stuff sacks. Basically, venom extractor you have to carry. Kinetic tape is important for your feet and any other things. Earplugs. There's a lot of people in the tents, a lot of snoring, a lot of tired bodies. Earplugs. First aid, Compeed, throw it in the ocean, absolute waste of time. Do not use Compeed if you have blisters. You put a Compeed over, the Compeed starts to move, makes a bigger blister around your existing blister. Compeed for athletes, throw it in the ocean, waste of time. Use this tape, kinetic tape, use this on your feet, don't use anything else. Signalling mirror for emergencies, part of the mandatory. I like to take a little cup, weighs nothing, for my coffee, and then these little coffees in the mornings, whenever. Squirrel's nut butter, anti-chafe. Be careful with this in the desert, because you put it on your feet and you get sand in your shoe, it accelerates a problem. It's not too bad in your doodahs, because there's not going to be a lot of sand getting in there, but in your feet, think twice about if you need this. I didn't use it on my feet. The pedagogist, I can't say it, the feet people said be careful with this on your feet, because it can be bad if you mix this with sand. That's something to think about. Emergency blanket, DEET. There's a lot of flies in Oman, not necessarily mosquitoes because there's no water, but there's a lot of flies. Whether this helps get rid of them, I don't know. I used it a bit. They didn't seem to bat an eyelid against this. So whether that was worth it or not, I don't know. And I would use these stuff sacks, 2 or 3 of these, stuff them down into the pack, and then empty these out in the night, and then just reorganise things the next day. So, what else do we have? So my bottles, 3 of these, 2 in the top. and then one spare. I use Tailwind Recovery when I got into camp. The problem with Tailwind Recovery, if you use it in here, you have to clean it afterwards. It stinks these bottles out. So if you use protein recovery type powders, clean these out with boiled water straight away. Don't leave it to fester in the sun. It's disgusting. The next time you use it, you can't get the taste away. Mandatory was, they said to carry a 2-litre vessel. Mandatory, but I didn't bother. I had my soft flasks. Let's see what else. Sun cream. In January, it's in the winter in Oman, but it's still 30-35 degrees. So I bought this from one of the airports I was going through. Lip balm in one part and sun cream dispenser in this part. So I just carried that. Kind of got me through. A little bit on the face, lips, no problem. I did have a bigger one, but I didn't take this in the end. I went with that because in this race, grams really matter. Literally, when you put that pack on the first day, and if it's more than 8 kilos, you know about it, and you're going to start to hate that pack after some kilometers. So I would say if you can get a pack to 6 or 7 kilos with water, that would be perfect. 8-9 kilos is the wrong end of the scale, 100%. It's going to get lighter each day, but not by as much as you think. You know, you're still carrying the sleeping bag, the mat. Everything's kind of like a trade-off. Money, you know, the sleeping bag I've got, it's not the lightest, but I've bought it. Am I going to buy another one to be even lighter? Is there a lighter one than that? How, you know, where do you just draw the line and say, I've got to go with what I've got, as opposed to spending more. Everything's a trade-off. Okay. Poles. Salomon Ultra Carbon Light XYZ. Yeah. I've used these poles for a while, for a year or two. They're brilliant. They weigh nothing. Poles, some people had poles, some people didn't, but most people had poles. I would say the benefit swings slightly to having poles, especially with the ascents and the sand dunes, and just being able to get the poles out. And it's a little bit of a positive mindset. I've got my poles. I didn't start with them on the first day. I pulled them out towards the end of the first day, and I had them in my hands for every kilometre after that since I got them out. You have to practice with these because there's a little technique. I tend to hold them like, say, a gun, if you're running with a gun in the army type of thing, or I'd run like this with them here, or I would use them. But these are so light that you can just kind of hold them through the day. As soon as you hit the sand dunes, they really help. So I would really recommend a pole, but make sure they're light. You don't want to be lugging around heavy poles and not using them. But these ones are Salomon. I will put a link to all the gear in the notes. Things like this is worth spending the money on, especially if you're a serious ultra runner. You'll have these for forever. So yeah, poles. Clothes. I wore Nerona. This is a technical tee technical t-shirt. And I don't know, they do something with this brand with sweat. You don't smell sweat on these clothes. They're how they do it, I don't know. They're anti-sweat. They don't smell. I don't know how I've cut the label, so I can't tell you what it's made of. Sorry. But go to Nerona website and you'll find out. Technical tee, long sleeved, for insects and sun on your arms. This t-shirt worked brilliant. I wore it all week. I didn't change. I didn't take a spare. Just in the camp, there's showers in the night time. So if you really want, you can just shower in your clothes, wash a little bit, however you want, quick in and out, and then hang your clothes up to dry. And that's quite nice, putting on clean clothes the next day. And yeah, so a lot of people did that, cleaned the clothes, spent time. Shorts, I just got some long, again, Adidas technical short with pockets in case I wanted to stick a gel in the pockets or something. So again, and then underneath these I don't wear boxer shorts with these races. I wore cycling or compression shorts, like cycling shorts. And that really helps with the chafing. I had no chafing, no problems. So yeah, cycling shorts and these over the top, that worked pretty well. Socks wise, I wore compression socks, again from Nerona, merino wool, worn them all the time. They're really good with the feet. They come up to the knees almost, compression socks. I've not got them here, but yeah, you can check Nerona website. Nerona have a thick and a thin hiking sock. I wore the thin ones. I took 3 pairs and changed the first 2 after the 2 days, and then I had a fresh pair for the last day. Feet are important, and to invest time when you get into camp. Take 10 minutes because you'll need it, but then start your admin. Start the feet, any problems, clean your feet, shower, fuel, water, salt. Start going through your admin as soon as you can. It's easy to get into the camp in the night of these races and think, I'll just put my head down for an hour. Then you wake up, you're groggy, you don't really want to do anything, lumbering around, don't want to eat. So get in, and as soon as you can, get your admin fixed. Get everything laid out, get in your head the next day, then rest. 7 or 8 o'clock is when most people were sort of bedding down, but get your admin sorted out. It would be one good tip. Don't lie about for an hour. On the 4th night, I was in a mess, and one of the other athletes I was running with, she kindly kicked my ass in gear, helped me with my food, and yeah, so that's really important as well. Wet wipes, don't take a big brick like this. I took smaller pack, say half the size, of alcohol wipes so I could clean my feet. I didn't know at the time there'd be showers and things like this, so I was kind of thinking I'll be using alcohol wipes and so on. But I actually needed those alcohol wipes for some, let's say, toilet emergencies along the way, and to clean my feet and sterilize my feet. Again, there are people there to fix your feet, but there's a queue. There could be 10 people in the queue. That could be 3 hours. In that time, you could have kind of done it yourself. So my advice would be to take foot care super seriously. If you're one of the faster ones and you can get in to get your feet taken care of, that's great. But if you're like me, in the middle of the pack, by the time you get into the camp, you can be in a queue, and it's just easier to sort things yourself where you can. So a little pack of alcohol wipes, not a big brick like this. This is just for show. One thing. Solar panel charger, power bank, kilo weight, absolute waste of time. Don't bother. If you really want your phone, take a little power bank, keep your phone off, put it on for an hour, listen to music, turn it back off. There is a way to get Wi-Fi signal with Oman Tel. They have a Wi-Fi type thing in camp, which I didn't know about, but I got an Oman eSIM, which gave me access to the Wi-Fi in the camp. There is a bit of downtime in the night. It's nice to have a bit of music or read the news, listen to an audio book, whatever you want to do. It's slow internet, you know, so you're not going to be watching Netflix on it anyway, but don't bother lugging something like this around. This is, I don't know, for 400 grams. If you desperately want to charge your phone, take a small lightweight power bank. Take your phone, take pictures, videos, so on and so on. Some people took GoPros. For me, that was just extra weight I didn't need. They have a social media team in the race with drones, cameras everywhere, professional photographer, really, really good photographer. He specialises in this kind of thing, Ian Corliss. It's nice to take your own photos, but for me, my phone's in the pack. I don't want to be pissing about with a phone here in my pocket. So for me, it was in the bag and I didn't think, but I did lug this stupid thing about. I tested it out and it was garbage in the solar. So solar panel, waste of time, don't bother with that. Small buff. It's a bit quite cold at night, so I'll just take the buff around me. Also, there's lights coming on and off, so I use this as a sleeping mask when the lights were on. If I wanted to sleep in the day, on the night stage, you don't start till 2 p.m. So you want to be sort of snoozing through the day in the lead up to that. So little buff, you can take it on your wrist as a sweatband in the race. Handy to have. Yeah. So that is more or less my kit. Yeah, I'll put all the links down in the comments for the bits, the neurona and the bits and pieces. But generally, it's a self-supported race. You only get water. It's not monitored. You get as much as you want. I was generally picking up 1.5, 2 litres at each station, and then that would last me until the next one. When I saw the station coming, the checkpoint, if I had any water left, I just tipped it over me to cool down. That worked really well. Take ice in the hat. There's ice buckets at the checkpoints. Even though it's winter, it's 35 degrees. It's hot. It is legitimately hot. And it's cool in the night. So it's nice if you want to sort of carry a pair of trousers in the night, lightweight pants to put on in the night. I had one pair, just some lightweight Adidas trousers. I put them on in the mornings as well because it's cold in the morning. 5 a.m. when you get up. Even if you're in your bag and you're sort of sleeping in your boxer shorts type of thing, if you want to get out of your bag, then I would put my fleece on, my trousers on. You go around camp, queuing up for the coffee, queuing up for the toilet. There was 3 sort of blow up porta potties. Pretty grim, but better than squatting in the desert type of thing. But what porta potty is not going to be grim? You know what you're getting in for when you do these things. So it is what it is. But the race had a tanker that followed these, and it was cleaning the toilets out as we went, so it wasn't a smell of crap anywhere. Really well maintained as they could be. There's ambulances in the race. There was a scorpion sting. He got treated immediately via ambulance. It's not common. It's one every couple of years. It's not a common thing. We did see scorpions, but I wouldn't let it put you off doing this kind of thing, because they're very, very few and far between. But they're there. You have to be aware of them. Hence this pump. I don't even know how to use it, but you should learn how to use it, basically. But you have to carry that. All in all, fantastic race, brilliant people, very well organised. Oman is a beautiful country. I would 100% take my family there to see more of it. And yeah, I can't praise the race enough. Everybody's there to help you. You know, you feel part of a team. A lot of experienced runners coming from doing these kind of races, and the people were fantastic. You know, when you spend 5 days intense with people, you know, it's a lot of personalities and a lot of mixing, and I've got to say it was perfect. Everybody got on amazing, everybody helping each other out. You know, some people had too much food and they were passing it on to people who didn't have enough, and everybody was just helping everybody. Great community, so that was fantastic. The organisation around the start and finish was great. Shuttle bus to a hotel, and then from the hotel to the race start, and vice versa after. Great food in the hotel, buffet, race briefings. The courses explained to you more, not in great detail. It will, okay, you have 6k of dunes, 8k of road, soft sand, so you kind of get a feel for the race. But I didn't pay too much attention, because you kind of get in your head, oh, okay, it's only 3 kilometers of dunes and then it's going to be easy. But it was not like that. It was 3 kilometers of dunes, it's tough, and then it's 10k of road, and that's even tougher because it's super soft sand and it's all uphill. So I didn't kind of let myself get sucked into a looking forward to any part of it. I just kind of knew it was going to be tough all the way. So yeah, I was just over 30 hours in total, middle to the back of the pack, middle maybe, but you know, there's Omanis running this race, Moroccans. These guys are just, after 10 minutes, you never see them again. They're out of sight and gone. Serious athletes, just made for this kind of environment. But there are people who hike, there are people who run, people who sprint, people who hike and run. It was a real broad spectrum, and you kind of just fall into your kind of group where you're at. But yeah, great race, fantastic. So any questions about the Oman Desert Marathon, leave me a comment. I'll do my best to answer it. Other than that, give me a follow on Instagram. Please subscribe to this channel. I've got 2 more races coming in March and April here in Norway. The Sandnes Backyard Ultra in March, and the big one, Sandnes Ultra Trail 100 miles in April. I will try and do videos on those. I will try and do some videos of my upcoming training for those. My training for this race was a little bit all over the place with an Achilles tendonitis problem. That's fixed now, touch wood. So my volume can steadily go back to where it was. When I had the Achilles problem, I just diversified my training plans into a gym, stair stepper, strength training, treadmill. Not specific to Oman, but I think I just about did enough to make it enjoyable and not suffer too much. I had a 2-day rest and then I was back running again. Felt fine. No injuries, only toenail injuries, but that's what you get with these things. So going into the next 2 races in March and April, we'll get specific again, and my coach, Mr. Sondra Amdal, I'm sure will have a good regime leading into those races. So I'll try and do a few more videos about that. If you like, subscribe to this, give me a follow, Strava, Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.